I should probably point out before it's too late how anomalous it is to have Peach in a Mario game as neither a kidnapped plot device nor as a playable character. Sometimes she's both, but either way, it's so rare we get a chance to get any optional dialogue from her whatsoever. It's a touch generic, but I'll take what I can get. And hey, it's at least nice to see she cares for Mario's safety. Now to business. Now that we've broken down Bianco Hills, there are a few problems around town. This black sludge on the docks is a little trickier than the brown stuff. It constantly spreads outwards from the source, creeping back towards its original shape, which I think is meant to be a bomb, if anything. I don't know, I guess we kinda stopped doing shapes after the first two, but the spreading goop actually makes the polluted piranha a little trickier, almost like it's a boss or something. We'll have to constantly maintain enough dry ground to squirt from, and we can't shut down the supply of Goobles that will continue to accost us. And then we actually have to hit him 6 times, not 3, yeah, alright, it's not that different, but I assure you, we've almost seen the last of these guys. With him down, we have unlocked the entrance to Rico Harbor, which we're going to ignore completely. If we've gotten at least 5 shines by this point, we'll be alerted to another black goo pile on the other side of the plaza. Something you might not have known is that, though the camera always alerts you to the Rico Harbor entrance until you've sorted that out, both of these goo piles can be present in the plaza at once. Now this 5th and final proto-piranha is all but identical to the last one, with one single distinction that you'll see when we've gotten him halfway down. Are you ready? Here it is. Oh, it's beautiful. Let's do it again. He'll reveal the island lighthouse, but wait just a moment. I've got to point out that this odd hockey puck sort of thing that normally sits on top of the lighthouse doesn't get submerged with it. Instead, it just kind of hovers up there. This is the sort of thing I have to wonder. Did they not notice? Did they think no one else would notice? Or did they just not care? Best not dwell on that for now. We've unlocked another entrance, this one leading to Gelato Beach, which we're also gonna ignore completely. Now, if we've opened all 3 of those areas and collected at least 10 shines, something devious will be afoot in Delfino Plaza. The toads are panicking, even Toadsworth has lost his composure. A mysterious turtle has appeared near the town's harbor. Police are investigating thoroughly. No, the hell they're not. And oh, wouldn't you know it, the princess has been kidnapped. God, I was just saying. This little Debs thing down here was clearly just added into the game to give players hints on where to go next, but sometimes it's got a sense of humor too. I love this. Princess Peach has been kidnapped? Again? Well, suppose I better do something about that. Let's check out that turtle. I want to know if any player ever has actually approached this thing from the way Mario walks up in this cutscene. Why wouldn't you just rock up from the water?
That is Pinna Island. The villain's secret hideout must be there.
I am far from the first person to point this out, but I like how Gooey Mario gives us a taste of our own medicine here with Giga Flood. That opens up this cannon that can launch us to Pinna Island, or, excuse me, exhaust port? Exhaust from what? Why does an exhaust port do this? But now with access to Pinna Park, we can do the level we're actually breaking down today. Yes, Pinna Park is technically level 4, but I have a good reason for doing it second. Let me cook here. Pinna Park is a little different from most of the levels. It's separated into 2 areas, the beach and the park itself. This beach is honestly hilarious. 6 out of Pinna Park's 8 missions are going to practically railroad us over to the park itself, and so the developers basically used this area as something of a dumping ground for a handful of otherwise unused enemies. I'm serious, these smolderin' stews all but only show up right here, right now. Why are they here? Why are they on fire? You mustn't ask such impudent questions. Here we can also meet the other species of Delfino Islander, Gnocchis, or like if toads were hermit crabs. Now I've often heard it said that the word gnocchi is Italian for shell, but listen here you uncultured swine. The word gnocchi is, if anything, a phoneticism of gnocchi, a sort of potato dumpling dish, popular in Italian cuisine, and I can definitely see the resemblance. As foods go, it's not strongly associated with seafood or shellfish or anything, but it's worth noting that in Japanese they're called mare, which is the Italian word for sea. So the gnocchi people represent the ocean, in contrast to the piantas representing the land. Their cohabitance on the island then represents a union between the land and the potatoes. It's beautiful. And finally, while we're on the subject, the word Pinna means fin. Now, into the park. Shadow Mario is sprinting towards the pool, and as much as I'd love to join him, there's a lot to see and do here. Most pressingly, these new enemies, Electro Koopas. They're certainly the most threatening thing we've faced. Just check out this electrocution animation, it's brutal. With their shell on, they're invulnerable to water and jumping, but once they're exposed, we can give them a good bounce. Or, in keeping with tradition, we're rewarded with more coins for killing them in a more brutal fashion. Water making them vulnerable to their own electricity. We've got a new set of people to introduce here too, like the Buckies. Lucky Plucky and Ducky Bucky are all part of some sort of musical group. Heck, I'm sold. We can also talk to the park director. He never properly introduces himself, so let's just call him Director Potato Head. Why not? Well, my gooey counterpart, I've kept you waiting long enough. You steal my face, you steal my shtick with water, you steal my my walking security risk. What's your game? Oh, your game is cool.
What happened? Did the perpetrator get away?
Yeah, okay, so my little hose pipe isn't gonna cut it here, but Director Potato Head's got our back. He's a bit oblivious to the ramifications of this situation, but bless him, he's gonna hook us up with a free ride on the roller coaster and an arsenal of bottle rockets. So we have a boss fight against Mecha Bowser, a challenge guaranteed to test even the most hardened players' ability to combat motion sickness. Ugh, these loops are brutal. Okay, the fight, if you even want to call it that, is remarkably simple. Mecha Bowser will fire bullet bills up and down the coaster's track at us, and will spew fire at whichever part of the track is at his eye level. We can spray the fire and the bullet bills, but the only way to damage the mech is with these rockets, which are really weird to aim. I don't think I can properly give any tips there. You just kinda need to get a feel for it. A detail I quite like is that you don't need to worry about water, because once per loop, the turtle will ride underneath this fountain, which fills us up. What a neat combination of context and mechanics. Mecha Bowser's design is also pretty cool despite some of the oddities, like these cannons just being a texture. I like that his tail is a drill for absolutely no reason, and every time we land a hit, a different chunk of him falls off. First his belly, then his right arm, then his left, and finally the rest of his torso, leaving him as just a head with legs, which feels fitting. This also changes which section of the track is being blasted by fire as his head gets closer to the ground. Another nice flourish. But with those 4 hits, we've effectively scrapped him. What is this delivery? Being inside that thing, explosions going off every few seconds, the head spinning like that. That must have been harrowing. And then she greets Mario like she just spotted him at the golf course. I can't help but love it. And introducing Bowser Jr., who in this game is only ever directly referred to as Junior. So, sorry Junior, that's what we're gonna call you.
Leave my mama alone, you bad man. I won't let you take Mama Peach away.
Mama Peach? I'm your mama?
Yeah, Papa told me all about it.
Yeah, let's all have a good laugh about how Peach doesn't sound remotely like she's denying this reveal. If you were told you had a child you couldn't possibly have had, you'd just be like, no? But she's over here all like, what? I am? It's all very amusing to speculate on just what kind of Stockholm Syndrome shenanigans might have occurred while Mario was busy hoovering up the stars, but here's the thing. If not Peach, who? Bowser has a child. Those things don't just happen. Well, in fact, canonically, we learned who Bowser Jr.'s mother was from Mr. Shigeru Miyamoto himself. Was Mr. Shigeru Miyamoto himself. Listen, I don't make the rules. He does.
He told me my mama got kidnapped by a bad man named Mario.
So you're Bowser's son?
So I came here to rescue her.
This is actually kind of genius. Flipping the script this way so the villain thinks Mario's the kidnapper and Peach is his plot device? This doesn't get enough credit, man.
So the graffiti, that was
like this, all my wishes come true. A strange old man in a white coat gave it to me.
A strange old man in a white coat.
Now this is a weird reveal, and I have no idea what to do with it. The magic brush Junior has been using to sync structures and draw monsters to life is another product of Gadd Science Incorporated. Junior's probably not the most reliable narrator, but it does sound like Gadd gave him this paintbrush, and if so, why? For that matter, why'd he just leave Flood on a random airstrip somewhere? Did Gadd mastermind the entire plot of this game? Is this whole thing just his idea of a vacation?
But why would you pretend to be Mario?
Papa told me everything. He said,
Mario's a bully, he never fights fair.
he said,
Junior, you gotta try to outsmart Mario.
so I tried to get Mario sent to prison. But they didn't lock him up, and now he came to steal Mama Peach again.
Junior's plan is pretty smart, too. Mario being sentenced to community service instead of jail time was just lucky on our part, so this sets up Junior as a much more devious villain than his rampaging dad.
You pest, stop following us.
No, not again. It appears to be heading toward Corona Mountain.
Blood, they are heading to the entire ass island, and not 5 minutes ago you couldn't tell Mecha Godzilla was standing directly in front of us. How can you tell they're heading exactly towards Corona Mountain? Wait, is that still gonna get me demonetized? Well, feels like a bit of a hollow victory, but hey, at least Director Potato Head is happy. Good for you, dude. Let's just take our shine and lick our wounds. Back in the plaza, things are feeling a touch less relaxed. All the toads are understandably distraught, and if we take Flood at their word and try and reach the mountain, we'll find it gated off. So I guess we've got no recourse but just to head back to the park. For the shines. Not the rides. The shines. Episode 2, the Beach Cannon Secret. I'm sorry, the beach what? That looks an awful lot like an exhaust port to me. This is one of those episodes that locks us out of the park itself and keeps the action on the beach. A Monty Mole has taken over the whatever you want to call it and will bombard us with bullet bills the whole time. Until we get close to him and he'll bombard us with bombs instead. Alright, we gotta talk about how Mario Sunshine redesigned nearly every classic enemy. Their designs made the jump from 2D to 3D really faithfully in Mario 64, so what happened here? Unfortunately, there are a few developer interviews floating around out there and none of them seem to address this specifically, but I have a theory. I think it's meant to drive home the exotic setting of the area. We're far from the Mushroom Kingdom, there aren't even Goombas, unless you want to make the assumption that stews are tropical Goombas, which, hey, maybe. However, these bombs specifically always jumped out at me. The digital countdown, the mechanical feet, they're certainly not as cute. I couldn't imagine teaming up with a pink one to save the world, but in this role as basic weapons, I think it suits them really well. The bullet bills aren't too threatening, since only the purple ones actually home in on you, but they do 3 damage, Jesus. We've been in the kiddie pool so far. Everything's only hit us for 1 of our 8 health, but this is one way the game can increase the challenge. By the way, really cute, really easy to miss detail. These sunflowers over here think the bullet bills are fireworks. Now that's all the little things. Importantly, this mission contains 6 blue coins that can only be obtained here, all underneath these overturned baskets, which we have to lure bullet bills into destroying. Something kinda cool that this game does is that these blue coins are present in every mission, so it's a bit of a puzzle to figure out which episode gives you the resources to attain them. I like it. The Monty Mole himself is a pretty simple boss. Just spray his bombs, pick him up, and throw him back at it. 3 times and he's done. Curiously, these bombs don't seem to have any effect on the baskets, though they only do 1 damage instead of 3, so this is oddly consistent. Another oddity is that this cannon Pianta over here is a rare instance of an NPC changing their dialogue in response to a boss being beaten. But that was only the first half of this mission. Let's hop into the exhaust port and see what's what. Well, of course, a not-so-secret level is what's what, though this one has a distinctly different aesthetic than what we're used to. The background's got that Yoshi's Island look to it, not to mention these Yoshi egg-looking blocks. And hey, come to think of it, the Pinna Park brochure has some Yoshis on it too. And I can almost even read what this one's saying. Please, my best wishes for your... Thanks. Best guess, it says, accept my best wishes for your migration, but my eyes hurt. Anyway, it's time we talked about not-so-secret levels. These floating hodgepodges of platforms amid abstract voids don't make a lot of sense, do they? Where are we right now? A pocket dimension inside the canon? The Super Mario Maker 3D kind of levels are pretty at odds with the design philosophy of the rest of the game. I was just complimenting the last mission for elegantly weaving the design of the world into the design of the gameplay, and that's something the overworlds of Mario Sunshine consistently do exceptionally well. So why do these areas look like they were designed in a fan-made custom level editor? Well, again, we've got no official word on this, but I think we've been given all the hints we need. These levels look like they're constructed out of children's building blocks. The backgrounds are the sort of things you'd see on a rug in a daycare. And we just found out our gooey adversary is practically a baby. We can't know for sure how old Bowser Jr. really is, but his design is extremely similar to that of Baby Bowser from the Yoshi's Island series, and it's in the name. Therefore, the reason these levels look like they were made by a child instead of a team of professionals is because they were rushed. I mean, because they were designed by Bowser Jr. In-universe, we are playing Jr.'s Super Mario Maker levels right now. I'd say that one was probably the easiest of the bunch, but you know the drill. There are more shines to see in that level, so jump right back in. Now say you don't really want to fight the Monty Mole again. I mean, he wasn't hard, but hey, mercy's usually a good thing, or something. When you get close to him, he closes this hatch over his hole, but if you're quick enough, you can sneak into the hole before the hatch closes, skipping the fight entirely. Now once again, I've come in here with 99 coins to show that if you get 100 coins in this area, the 100 coin shine shows up right over here. There's also an oddity with these Strollin' Stews over in this dead end. They're being infinitely spawned by these pictures of them on the wall, which, similarly to the other Strollin' Stew generator, never show up again. And they can be cleaned off by flood. It's extremely rare for these floodless missions to have anything in them that can only be affected by flood, for obvious reasons. Now let's get those red coins. Like the level itself, the red coins are probably the easiest to get in the game, and I can't even make it hard on myself by bringing in an unconventional nozzle, so let's just wrap this on up. Honestly, the time limits in these barely ever come into play. Just don't deliberately waste time and you'll probably never have to worry about it. On to episode 3. Once again, with no objectives on the beach, it's populated by another extremely rare enemy. This time, winged Strollin' Stews. Is that really the name? What, were you guys on a coffee break? I can do better than that. These are now called Soarin' Stews. Now into the park. Everything about this mission directs us to the pirate ship ride. Our goal is another set of 8 coins strewn about the boats in the surrounding structures, and yep, these bad boys swing so hard they go all the way upside down. I don't see anything in the way of restraints either. It's a wonder this park isn't shut down. But before we risk our lives on that, there's something really cool I want to show you over here. The entrance to this ride has some swirly symbols on it that look like they might be some kind of made-up language. We also see this text over top of the entrance of the park, and on wooden signs across the island. Now the general assumption I see, even from more dedicated mystery hunters than I, is that these swirls are just that, a bunch of random swirls, untranslatable. One reason people have this assumption is that these wooden signs actually have English text in the Japanese version. It's a bit of gobbledygook though. It says, "This isn't gonna, just a little stick, ready? 1, 2, 3. There you all do." This, as it turns out, is taken directly from a Japanese dictionary website, specifically an example sentence from their definition of the word ready. So that's already pretty random, but it's because these swirls on the sign couldn't possibly translate to this whole passage that most people assume they're meaningless. But nah, let's check it out. If we look exceedingly close at Pinna Park's brochure page, we can make out the names of some of the attractions, including Ferris wheel, merry-go-round, spinning shell, and most importantly, Viking, pointing directly to the pirate ships. If we compare the word Viking to the pirate ship sign, we'll see some similarities. If we assume that this sign does in fact say Viking, then this swirly language isn't gibberish at all, but a simple A to Z cipher. And we now have the letters for V, I, K, N, and G. Now I actually don't know off the top of my head where else in the game this text appears, but you can bet I'm gonna be keeping a close eye out to see what else we can translate. For the time being, we have no way of confidently guessing what the sign over the entrance or the wooden sign might say. We can guess maybe this 5-letter word is enter, since this symbol looks pretty close to this one, but if that is the case, it means that there are different symbols for uppercase and lowercase, which would make this all significantly harder. As for the wooden sign, it doesn't appear to have any of the letters we can be sure of, unless this is a V that's been cut off. In either case, I can't make heads or tails of what the whole sign could possibly say. But I've checked, and it seems no one online has made this Viking connection before, so we are at least one step closer to solving this 20-year-old mystery than we were yesterday. Now let's hop aboard the ships and track down me pirate booty. Arrgh! And I phased through the boat. Yeah, turns out these are a bit more like ghost ships. If you hit certain parts at the wrong angle, then it's man overboard. But honestly, I find this more amusing than frustrating. There's only a couple coins around the decks anyway, and the rest are all on this scaffolding up here. Now by this point in the game, we're meant to have been tutorialized on these things from an earlier level, but I kinda skipped that, so here's your crash course. Mario can cling to vertical gratings and hang from horizontal ones. While wall climbing, he can activate flip gates by pressing the dive button, and while monkey barring, he can press the jump button to get on top of a flip gate. To get back underneath them, you do a ground pound. These methods can also deal with enemies on the opposite sides of these grates, like these red Electro Koopas. Got all that? Good. Speaking of Electro Koopas, these blue ones are kind of funny with their shells. If you get one to throw its shell off a ledge, it'll eventually regrow it, but the coating around this seems pretty, loose. You can glitch them out pretty hard. Now, just kick a few more Koopas to the stratosphere, and our path to the final coin is clear. This grating is freaking mesmerizing. When Mario runs up and down it, something about the game's frame rate combined with the spacing of these hexagons make it look like the metal is moving along with Mario. I could do this for hours. But I'll do that off screen. Let's just get our shine. Episode 4, the Wilted Sunflowers, and oh my gosh, real Yoshi eggs! I knew they were setting him up, all those hints. Wake up, Yoshi, I hope your role in this game is a lot cooler than when you were just hiding on the roof in Mario 64. What's that? They're eating your roots? Well, I guess that makes sense. Yoshis eat everything. Oh, they're fake? What? What's going on here? Get out of there. These are Snooza Koopas, apparently some sort of natural predator of Yoshi's, which have adopted their coloring possibly as some sort of camouflage. They're not particularly tough. They'll try and slam into you with their shell, and all you have to do is lure them to slam into the sand, so they'll get stuck belly up. Then you can finish them off with a ground pound. Ever since I very first did this mission, I always heard this voice line in a certain way, and I have never been able to unhear it. It's kinda random, but I was like, man, I didn't know flowers had esophaguses, but I'm glad yours is feeling better. Now, the more of these guys you take down, the less time they'll spend stuck in the sand, but it's honestly not much of a complication. Let's finish them off. While we're out here, let's check on the old exhaust port. The Pianta in here asks us to cool things off for him, and when we spray him, he turns out to be just about the only Pianta in the game that seems to enjoy it, instead of getting all mad at you. And just for fun, it's also a simple matter to lodge yourself inside the cannon with him by ground pounding. And then, wait, uh-oh. No, wait, hang on. Mario, don't. No, Mario, no! Yeah, maybe the Yoshis will come back. It'll be great. Let's just get out of here. Upon returning to the plaza, we'll find a certain gooey individual there causing trouble, holding something that once again looks like a Yoshi egg, but fool me twice, shame on me. Let's just chase him down and keep our wits about us. But it turns out that it's the double reverse fake out. When we squirt him down, he complains. He says he wanted to ride that Yoshi. Could this be the genuine article? Hey, wait a second, why are you still pretending to be me now that the cat's out of the bag? Hey, double wait a second, is Mario still on the hook for all of Junior's shenanigans now that a whole theme park has heard the real story? Oh, what? Yoshi? Oh, yeah. Yoshi makes his 3D debut here. Yeah, that doesn't give him the requested fruit, and you can ride him, jump him, force him to regurgitate excessive amounts of fruit juice, and even disintegrate him by leading him to a body of water. Yeah, this perplexed people for a while after the game came out. Yoshi's never been some sort of solvent before. But it turns out there's a surprisingly good reason for this, though it takes a bit of extrapolation to find it. Our first hint is that Yoshis used to live on this island, a fact mentioned by a couple characters in the game. And frankly, any animal that adapts for life on an island is gonna be able to swim. Besides that, how else could they have fled the island to begin with? Our next hint comes from an amount of enemies in this game that are made of paint. There's the obvious ones, like the polluted piranhas and the Goobles. There are also those that seem to be more sophisticated artifices, like the Strollin Stews and Petey Piranha, which don't look particularly gooey, but show their true colors when you take them down. All of these creatures have a few things in common, but primarily, they are the creations of Bowser Jr. and his magic paintbrush. Knowing that Yoshis no longer populate the island, and this one shares a weakness with all these gooey creations, we can reasonably assume that this isn't a real Yoshi, but rather another living painting, courtesy of Gadd Science Incorporated. That doesn't make him any less cool, though. Well, it kinda does if water kills him and we're on a frickin' island. But this isn't the best place to show him off. After finishing that sunflower mission, Yoshi eggs will start to pop up in other levels as well, including Bianco Hills Episode 8. We might have to scour the level a bit to find the fruit he wants, but now we've got him, we can see he has multiple means of simply deleting enemies, either by eating them or spraying them with fruit juice, which instantly turns them into a platform straight out of Yoshi's Island, which actually has different properties depending on which flavor of juice you use. He's also got his classic flutter jump, and a dramatically improved improved spin jump from Mario, enabling him to reach near rocket nozzle levels of height. But most importantly, Yoshi can eat things Mario otherwise can't affect, like these blue butterflies and the bees, giving us some blue coins. And now the pieces have fallen into place, I hope. I really hated having to sort of hand-wave those last few blue coins in the last episode, just because we didn't have Yoshi. And both Rico Harbor and Gelato Beach have Yoshi-exclusive content, so that's why we're doing Pinna Park second. I suppose that Yoshi's Egg Bait and Switch was just that important to the developers, that you absolutely cannot unlock Yoshi any earlier than after completing the Wilted Sunflowers. Jumping back into Pinna Park, we have another rare instance of a skippable shine, but not in the same way Bianco 1 was skippable. I mean in the sense that you can hatch Yoshi on the beach, find both a durian and a papaya, eat the durian, push the papaya towards the wall while luring a stew along with you, clip through the wall around the gate, turn the stew into a purple platform, eat the papaya, and ride the platform across the floor that isn't actually there to access the not-so-secret level we'll be doing next episode. You know, skippable. Now I can't do that, so we're just gonna take the long way around. Keeping with the pattern, there's another new enemy exclusive to this area on the beach. This time, Swipin' Stews, which will steal Mario's hat if they hit him, and put on a matching mustache. When not wearing his hat, Mario actually starts to, like, drown on land? This has a number of curious interactions, like Mario can't normally die while riding Yoshi, since all other forms of damage will instead knock Mario off his back, so we get a rare instance of Mario dying while riding Yoshi. Perhaps the most famous interaction is that this enables you to lose life while talking to someone, and Mario can just die, and they'll just keep talking to his dead body about whatever cheery goings-on they have in mind. The juxtaposition is beautiful. Now, I've never seen anyone talk about why this happens. In Mario 64, Mario could also lose his hat, and if he did, he'd take double damage from all sources. So we all assumed that this was just that in another form. Somehow, Mario's hat is a magical source of his power, right? Well, no. There's something Mario can do apart from retrieving his hat that will prevent him from taking damage, and that is go for a swim. As long as Mario is at least partially submerged in water, he stops losing health. This means that the actual reason he was taking damage in the first place is because he's hot. His hat was keeping the sun off him and keeping him cool. That's brilliant. Now let's head into the park again and see this level's namesake. The Runaway Ferris wheel is going nuts. A giant Electro Koopa King is set up shop and is causing it to go haywire. So our goal this episode is to make it to the top. Sidebar, I really like how each mission in the park so far has put our focus on a different attraction. That's just a fun way to structure a theme park level. Director Potato Head, how do you suggest I get up there? Hey there, Mr. Hero. Have you tried the Ferris wheel yet? It's a delightful romp. What's that you say now? Yes, it does seem to be spinning rather excessively. Thanks, Director, you're a big help. Now what we're meant to do here is climb up this area at the back of the Ferris wheel. This is a sort of puzzle platform challenge where we have to grapple with flip gates, grates that reorient when sprayed, and Electro Koopas that need to be carefully defeated before we can proceed. The problem is, the camera refuses to behave itself around all these walls back here, and will continually obscure our view of the action. The grates themselves are a little finicky too, and what happened here? Mario just slipped on nothing, and slid through the grating. Yay, nobody got time for all that noise. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna make our way up to where we got the shine in the pirate ship level, and then we're just gonna jump. The outside of the Ferris wheel isn't actually tangible, so despite looking pretty threatening, there's nothing stopping us from just hovering over here. Now just latch onto the grate beneath the Electro Koopa King, don't worry, Mario's probably got rubber gloves or something, and kick him off. Competition is steep, but I'd say he was the least deserving of the title King out of anyone Mario's ever faced. Now for the hard part, we gotta ride the wheel to the top for our shine. How in the world does anyone get into these things, even when it's stopped? But this will take us up to the highest point on Pinna Island, from which we get a truly spectacular view of Isle Delfino. We can see everything from here. Look, there's the platform where we first spotted Pinna Park. This right here is genuinely why people remember Sunshine so fondly. These look how far we've come moments just aren't there in a disjointed world. Now, what do you say we take the camera for a bit of a spin, hey? This threatens to destroy a bit of the magic, as obviously, no, the entirety of Isle Delfino and all of its individual areas are not loaded in at all times, but rather we're looking at a shrunken down version of the island covered in several suggestions of locations in all their low poly majesty, with things like Forced Perspective and Mario Sunshine's Heatwave filter doing a lot of the heavy lifting. But I'm taking you on this journey because I want you to see just how freaking extra this game's developers are. Let's take a look at Low Poly Plaza over here and see that despite how easily they could have gotten away with putting in so much less effort, they took the time to put things like this stupid window here, the island on the opposite side of the plaza, and so much more. These are the lengths they went to so the player wouldn't feel like the world was as broken up into chunks as it is. It's frankly baffling. Oh, and as long as we're playing with the camera, come have a look down here. This is Cug. Who is Cug? What's he doing here? no one knows for sure, some kind of test enemy that was put in here as an Easter egg, I suppose. Pinna Park is honestly the poster child for unused Mario Sunshine stuff. We haven't even gotten to the half of it yet. Episode 6, the Yoshi-Go-Round secret, and for the first time, I've got nothing to say about the beach out here. It's basically identical to how it was last episode. Though, just because I haven't drawn attention to it yet, look at this baby Noki, oh my god. Inside the park, everyone's making a fuss about the Yoshi-Go-Round, and a Yoshi egg being spotted around here. Now, this is honestly a bit obtuse. Despite how many hints and nudges the game gives you, as a kid, it took me like 20 minutes to figure out that what we're supposed to do here is replace the missing Yoshi on the go-round with a real one. Or maybe I'm just Yoshily challenged. But it is an odd puzzle that doesn't really mesh with any of the rules the game has established so far. It's a cool way of teaching us the distinction between the fruits though. Yoshi's color and juice flavor is determined by the last fruit he ate. Pink for sweet, bananas and coconuts, orange for sour with pineapple and papaya, and purple for whatever durian tastes like. I assume spicy, since Yoshi also turns purple from eating hot peppers, but from what I understand, you couldn't pay me enough to find out. Now, since the merry-go-round is missing an orange Yoshi, we can only progress by matching that color, but if you bring over a pink or purple Yoshi, you get a unique sound effect. This buzz is the sound that plays if you try to pause in midair, or more likely while falling to your death in a floodless level. That's combined with an obscure Yoshi voice line. I guess that gets the point across, though we gotta orange it up. Easiest way to do that is with the papaya hanging from this pianta tree's nose. This tree is actually a remnant of some cut content, and the graffiti on its trunk is a reference to the fact that this was planned to be a warp to another level. Pinna Park itself was intended to be an extension of the hub area, the Peach's Castle basement of Delfino Plaza. A warp to another level was originally gonna be in the swimming pool, and it's still all modeled out in the game's files. This also explains why there's a cannon seemingly aimed back at the plaza, giving Mario a way to move freely between the two areas. But enough of what might have been. We've got a floodless level to tackle, a pretty lengthy one too. So as long as I've got a minute to kill, let's talk music. Mario Sunshine's soundtrack is just back-to-back highlights, matched perfectly to the atmosphere of each area. But since we've gotten Yoshi, you may have noticed a cool bit of embellishment. Whatever song is currently playing gets a boppy little bongo beat added to the mix. The Delfino Plaza version of this is a personal favorite of mine. But I bring this up now because although we were riding Yoshi as we entered this area, you can see he didn't join us. Yoshi will never take part in any of these not-so-secret levels, but despite that, there is a bongoed up version of this song in the game's code. Have a listen. And yeah, this acapella version of Mario's main theme is absolutely my jam. How can you not just love it? Another shine in our pocket, and of course another red coin secret to uncover, along with an obscure 100 coin shine location. This red coin challenge is funny. They give you a massive 2-minute timer for this, and you'll use most of it. These first 2 coins are pretty clear in your path. They have you double back here, which you wouldn't do otherwise, but then by the time you get to this point, it's like, I sure hope I haven't missed any. But you haven't. All 6 of them are here on this last set of blocks, which you have practically free reign of with the flood. This random group of 3 blocks over here all have unique properties. The ice cube is another rare instance of something in a floodless level that can only be affected by flood. The brick can only be destroyed by jumping into it from beneath. You get an obscure 1-up for that. And the watermelon cube, which... what? Wait, that's a real thing? Can only be destroyed with a ground pound. Episode 7 is another Shadow Mario chase, and honestly, that's all I got. The beach isn't different, the characters don't have much interesting to say, Gooey Jr. hasn't got any tricks up his sleeve apart from running you past some electric Koopas. Sorry, that's all I got. Let's just grab our crooked shine and move on to Episode 8. Roller Coaster Balloons is one of those levels. Every once in a while, Mario Sunshine pulls out a challenge that tests you on a very different skill set. These levels tend to live on in infamy, but I get ahead of myself. Balloons! balloons now festoon the park. It seems we can't interact with any of them in any way, and everyone is directing us up to the newly opened roller coaster. But hold up, I'm not so easily deterred. If we lure over a Strollin' Stew, yeah, no, really, if we lure one over just right and kick him into a balloon, we can actually pop it. Why would you? Why does this work? I don't have these answers. It's just cool, obscure knowledge, and I don't have any other use for it but to tell you about it. So let's talk to this Noki and accept their challenge. Pop 20 balloons in only 3 laps of the coaster. Now, again, aiming these rockets is a pain in the ass. Where exactly they'll go when you hit fire is a purely academic matter. I can't really show you how janky this is because I've done this mission so many times in my life that a section of my brain has rewired itself for these rocket trajectories to somehow make sense to me. As far as strategy goes and which balloons you should prioritize, it's really just a matter of always aiming for whichever is closest, and not letting any of these rockets go to waste by holding onto them for too long. And no, popping balloons beforehand with stews isn't gonna help. While we're on the coaster, we're technically on a different map entirely. You can even see the balloon layout is slightly different between the two. And of course, I have to point out what happens if you fail the challenge. They just kill you. This is the highest stakes Garni game you've ever played. Step right up and bet your life. I'll also point out that this is possible to do in just 1 lap, thanks to some advanced tech. If you spray a bottle rocket, you'll collect it, enabling you to fire some rockets multiple times in a single lap. But I'm perfectly happy with just getting the shine and heading home, thanks. That leaves us with just the blue coins and 100 coin shine. So let's head back into episode 6 and get after them. Once again, this beach has 6 basket coins that can only be obtained in episode 2 by luring bullet bills to expose them. Apart from them, all but 1 coin can be obtained in any of the missions where the park is open. That 1 coin can only be found in episode 6 because it's the only one with Yoshi accessible within the park. Before we head in, there are 4 more coins out here, 2 for spraying around the beach until you reveal these graffiti blue shines. I'll give these a pass as far as obscurity goes, since spraying the beach is the only way you'll find fruit for Yoshi, and you're likely to figure out that you're rewarded for spraying the sand by accident as you squirt the swipe and stews. 2 more blue coins for eating some blue butterflies around the sunflowers, and I'll also point out that eating yellow butterflies grants coins, and green butterflies grant 1-ups. If you want to go for the 100 coin shine here, this level is extremely generous with coins. There are dozens hidden in the sand, and each stew grants 5 on defeat. It's actually faster than the more popular method, but we'll also get to that method later. I'm grabbing coins now because, of course, the 100 coin shine will spawn in different locations depending on if you get that last coin on the beach or in the park. And obviously I want to show both. But that's everything outside, let's head on in. For my 100th coin, I'll get this practically secret one you get by spraying the park gate. I love how they thought of that, you know? Now let's start hoovering up blue coins. There's 1 inside the green clam on the clamshell ride, 1 inside the support beneath the pirate ship stairs. You may have to ground pound for a tiny smidge of extra height. A graffiti M on this clay-colored wall, and then a pair of X graffitis from the Pianta tree across the pirate pool and back. Don't try to swim it. Mario's much faster on foot, or on belly, as the case may be. Let's go ahead and suit up with Yoshi. There's a blue bird atop this gazebo with the pineapple. We could spray it half a dozen times to transform it into a blue coin, or we could just have Yoshi eat it. Save yourself a headache. We'll find 1 over behind the roller coaster platform, and now let's hop down to fight what you might consider a mini-boss, though I think it's still just called a large Strollin' Stew. I can't believe they didn't call it a Stackin' Stew. It's a rare enemy that Yoshi can neither eat nor turn into a platform, but yields a blue coin once we get to the bottom of it. Now let's get this pair of graffiti triangles, which will send us up to the Ferris wheel loading platform. Better to leave Yoshi for the run up there, as Mario can actually run faster up hills if he dives into the slope. Not sure why, but it comes in handy surprisingly often. With gravity on our side, the return trip is no problem. Heading around to the back of the Ferris wheel, we can find another couple graffiti M's. This high up one might take a bit of finagling, but this one down on the miniature beach is no problem. And I know we don't need any more gold coins, but this golden button in the pool is unique, so I'd feel bad for leaving it unacknowledged. It's like a P-switch from some 2D games, summoning a group of coins that will disappear when the vague time limit ends. No applause for when I get them all, though. On this other beach is the sole coin exclusive to episode 6, another blue butterfly. And we can eat another blue bird over between the Yoshi-Go-Round and the shell game. All 6 remaining coins are high up, and I'd rather have Flood than Yoshi for those. There's an easy one you'll almost certainly have seen during the red coin mission right here on the scaffolding, but there are 3 more up here requiring some tricky platforming. These 2 both involve platforming on the bottoms of the boats as they spin upside down, so time your jump carefully. I didn't quite make it across to the second one, but you can catch the second boat on its upswing to ferry you up to that high platform there. Our last 2 coins are a pair of graffiti O's on the Ferris wheel, and trust me, even though this one's on the ground, do not try and clean it with the hover nozzle. Just don't get too fancy up here, and that'll bring us to an even 60. A thing of beauty. Now, about that 100 coin shine. Head back to episode 2, the one with all the bullet bills, and bullet the hell out of those bills. This is an exceedingly rare case of an infinite source of coins. Every black and purple bullet bill drops 2 coins when defeated, and the rare golden bills drop 8. As long as you don't get too close, he'll never stop firing, and you can just wait until all 100 coins come to you. But I say, why stop there? I'd be willing to bet not many of you have ever seen Mario Sunshine's coin limit before, so wait right here. I'll be back. Oh, hey, wait, check it out. I found a funny glitch. If Mario gets blown up off of Yoshi but lands immediately back on him, he won't open his eyes. He's like, nope, after everything I've seen, that's it. You can't make me. Okay, we're coming up on it, and this is interesting. After 999, the coin counter stops incrementing. However, did you hear that? The 1-up sound when we reached 1,000, and again 50 coins later, and again 50 coins after that. The game is still keeping track of our coin total, it's just not programmed to display it any higher. This means I have no idea what the game's actual internal coin count limit is. Given the GameCube's 32-bit processor, it could be a number as high as 4 billion. And even if I were averaging 1 coin per second, that would take me, 130 years to reach, so I'm gonna take a pass on that and grab the shine I already went way overkill on. Now check out our totals. That's another level down. I've never heard anyone call Pinna Park their favorite before, but honestly, I don't think there's a weak mission in it. The theme park is such a natural environment for Mario to jump around in. It's no wonder they revisited this idea later in the series. I find it kind of funny that the emphasis of this level was on the enemies, especially the Electro Koopas, and there wasn't a drop of pollution to be found. The Loyogar marked out Pinna Island as a victim of paint-like substance, but I think we've long since established that we're not to trust that guy. Next time, we're gonna get back on track and break down Rico Harbor. As I hope you know by now, you can check out that episode right now on my Patreon, and the link is right down there in the description. Either way, I'll see you in the next one.